Hi, this is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. I hope you enjoyed this Game Industry Insight, a look behind the scenes at game development. And be sure to subscribe and you can pitch future video topics. Alright, for today's Industry Insight, we got a very polarizing issue to talk about. And that is Unity and what it means as a brand for game development. This is in response to a video piece done by Jim Sterling earlier this week. Now, fans of Jim Sterling and the Jimquisition know that he has taken a look at quite a lot of bad games over the last few years. And the video was made in response to, I think it was a game developer complaining about game journalists citing the use of Unity in games. And on the very rare off chance you'll know what we're talking about, Unity is considered one of the most popular game engines out there. There are free and paid versions available from the Unity site, and it's an engine that allows almost anyone with some measurement of skill to make something. And keep that in the back of your mind because we'll be coming back to it in a minute. So, the reason why the game developer was making his post and why Jim was responding to it is the fact that Unity has taken quite a bit of a hit in terms of its reputation. And I'm sure for some of you watching this right now, we're going to get some very interesting comments below. But the point is, Unity has earned a very negative reputation over the last few years thanks to just the piles and piles of bad games. The term asset flippers is used a lot here, and you don't know what that corresponds to. Unity, like most game engines, comes with pre-made models. This is a way for a student or someone brand new to have something to mess around and play with. So they can just immediately take a texture model, put it on whatever rigging or skeleton they design, and see how it works. Or they have a background, so they can just see how the character animates and such. You're not supposed to use them in the full game. Think of them as like training wheels, in a manner of speaking. So when we talk about asset flippers, these are developers who will take those pre-made assets and models and such and just stick them in their own game. Like they create them, and it usually comes off as looking very unprofessional. It would, I guess, for like a cooking analogy, this would be like a world-class chef using store-bought pasta instead of making their own, or something along those lines. And again, for a lot of professional game developers, it is a practice that is very much frowned upon. And it's also one that is very indicative of, again, the lowest quality games. Because it goes back to the idea that if you can't take the time to make your own characters, your own textures and backgrounds, then are you really able to make a quality title? So, because of that hit to its brand, it's becoming a lot more of a stigma, especially among consumers, because all they see is bad game made by Unity, and they will basically put two and two together. Now, what Jim was talking about, what is a very big point, has to do with the range of quality, as I said about a minute ago. There is a very, very wide berth between an asset flipper who's just, putting stuff together and trying to sell a game for $5 versus a professional team making use of Unity. And we have seen some of the most amazing games out there using Unity over the last few years, just as we have seen some of the worst games out there. Stuff like the Slaughtering Grounds, another big name if you follow Jim Sterling. And the point is, when it comes to Unity as a brand, what makes it so hard to follow is that you only see the losers. Because when you buy the different or use the different versions of Unity, the cheapest or free version will always put up a splash screen that says made with Unity. It's basically the cost of using the engine for free. If you buy the professional or the higher grade versions, that splash screen is gone. So what that means is the highest quality games, the ones that you want to publicize were made by Unity, don't mention it at all. Or maybe mention, on the credits page, which I'm sure all of you watching will scroll through the entire thing with every game you've played. And this creates a very sticky situation, again, a very polarizing one among consumers and developers. On a few of the indie forums or Facebook groups that I kind of skulk around, whenever Unity gets brought up, it's usually met with some very harsh words. Some people will swear by Unity. Other people see Unity as one of the worst things imaginable to games. And this goes back to what I was saying. You can give Unity to a professional team, and they will make some of the most amazing games you will ever see. You can give it to someone who has barely had a year of programming, and they can put something together as well. I even designed a game in Unity, and no, you can't see that. Maybe I can make that as a Patreon non-reward. Give me $10,000 and you can see my exciting game of a rectangle trying to jump over smaller rectangles. And maybe get a 10 out of 10 on the iOS store or something. But that is the point, that Unity has grown popularity thanks to its accessibility. And when I did my presentation talking to teenagers and students about getting into the game industry and about taking that first steps, I mentioned Unity as one of the big engines. I mean, why shouldn't I? This is an engine that anyone right now can download, start playing around with, and put something together. And again, 15, 20 years ago, you weren't going to have something of this power and this accessibility outside of a major studio that would require who knows how big of a team to make something competently. But therein lies the problem, and getting back to the topic at hand, with the branding of Unity. From the post and the Jim Sterling video, I think I agree with him that you should be able to mention the game engine, and it shouldn't be considered, faux pas. It's not the game journalist's fault that people are making crappy games with Unity. And in that piece, Jim talked about, I think it was the CEO of Unity, who was, I think, originally one of the members of EA, and how he doesn't really care about that branding issue. And that is kind of a very sticking point. It goes back to what we've been talking about with Valve and Steam, especially over the last year and a half, with the removal of Steam Greenlight and now Steam Direct. That if you're trying to position yourself as the premier studio or the premier engine for everyone, you should take some kind of pride or take some measurement of brand protection. Because while it may not hurt you now, it can come back to bite you in the future. And right now, when it comes to Unity, it's mainly biting the smaller developers. But this is one of those issues that it's very hard to find a perfect solution. Jim mentioned, of course, Unity cracking down on asset flipping, maybe having some kind of standard or rules as to what assets can be used, while a lot of people felt that that would be too restrictive. And this goes back again to the whole Wild West mentality when it comes to game development. And the fact that very few developers want to be told what to do or what they can and can't do. And having restrictions on what Unity assets they can use, or even if they can use Unity for their full retail game without any, thumbs up from Unity, will be seen as stopping people from working. And for those of you watching this, and with this question, I know this could lead to some very divisive comments below. What do you think about this Unity branding issue? Should Unity take steps to curtail asset flippers or set some measurement of standards for people who use the engine, like with Steam, or what Steam was trying to do with Steam Direct? Or is this not really their problem? And again, when we talk about from that point of view, this is where things get very heated between the game journalists and game developer side of things. Because is it fair, if people are so angry or against seeing games made with Unity, is it fair to mention that in a review or a preview if it costs that game some sales? Honestly, I say that's fair game. because you're basically telling someone about the state of the game, and if they decide that they don't want to support it, that's their prerogative. But it will be kind of like having a car review and not mentioning, what kind of engine or what size engine the car is using. And maybe this is one of those cases where the game industry should be a little bit more attentive when it comes to asset flipping. But again, whenever we talk about legislation or edicts or anything like that, it becomes a very sticky situation. And like I said, when it comes to using Unity and its accessibility, what has made it so popular is the fact that anyone can use it. And to say that, oh, your game doesn't have so and so, you're not allowed to put it up anywhere, does seem like it may be doing more harm than good. And like I said, you never know, and this is, I think, one of the big reasons why a lot of people don't like rules for the game industry. You never know when that next amazing title is going to come from, or when or where. Someone could be making the next Undertale, or the next Minecraft, or Five Nights at Freddy's. And having any kind of limitations or lockdowns on any aspect of game development could be seen as robbing the game industry of someone who may not have the money to go full into game development in terms of buying a full professional Unity engine, a full game maker, Unreal, etc., but still has the talent or the drive to try and make something. And like we've said, the difference in quality in terms of game development is massive. And anyone who plays video games can certainly see it. That is the phone ringing, so I will quickly close this door because we are 10 minutes in. I can't edit this out while I'm in mid-talk. But as I said, you can't see the full impact or there's just that full range in terms of design. And I have played quite a lot of games, as you can certainly attest, or you can agree with me on that. And not every game is going to be a 4K television experience, 1080p HD, so realistic you can see like the different grooves in the person's hand. And we have played many games that are either using very basic pixel graphics or even characters represented by shapes, such as I think Thomas Was Alone, or Thomas is Alone. I forget the full name of that. But again, that was a case where the developers were able to do a lot with very little. And having any kind of restrictions or laws against using certain aspects, could that stop someone from making their interesting game if they don't have, who knows how much money to hire a full art team or get the game maker's edition of an engine or stuff like that? So let me know what you think in the comments below, because again, this is going to be a very tricky issue, and it's one that for a lot of first-time and new game developers will have to pay attention to when they're deciding how to build whatever their first game may be. But thank you so much for watching today's Industry Insight. If you are new, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. And I will catch you all next time with another video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And come back around 10 Eastern for regular streaming. For a collection of my writings as well as weekly podcasts on game development, be sure to check out game-wisdom.com. Follow me on Twitter at GWBycer for updates throughout the day. And to help support everything that I do, you can find me on Patreon under GW Bycer or Game Wisdom. Your donations can help to keep things running, and we hit some goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy. So, thanks again for watching, and be sure to come back for daily discussions on game design on the Game Wisdom channel.